Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. In today's video, I'll be using Paper Rose Studio's Seaside Memories collection. There are lots of great products that are part of this collection, including 2 paper pads. I have the 6x6 size, but both are also available in 12x12. The 2 paper collections are Seaside Memories and Seaside Memories Basics. I'll show you the Seaside Memory paper pad first. There are 18 double-sided pattern papers, beautiful colors and designs, and there are several sheets that include cut-apart images and sentiments. Here are the first 6 designs. Now I'll flip over the paper so you can see the designs on the back side. There are a few sheets that have a full 6x6 scene design, and those would be too large for an A2 size card, but you can always just cut down part of that scene and use it on a card. Or you could save the full 6x6 sheet and use it on a different project. Next up is the Seaside Memories Basics collection. This one also has the 18 double-sided pattern papers. It starts off with a sheet with fun cut-apart images and sentiments. It's very similar to the Seaside Memories, but they do have different designs. You can use each of the paper pads individually, or you can mix and match the 2 collections together for more variety on your projects. And that's usually what I do when I'm using Paper Rose collections. They almost always have the original collection and a basics coordinating collection. So there are the 12 different designs included in the Seaside Memories Basics paper pack. I have several of the coordinating embossed die cut packs. I'll start off with the Seaside Memory tags and tickets. This pack includes 4 sheets of 6x8 embossed pop-out die cuts. So it has this beautiful glossy embossed detail, and all the images and sentiments simply pop out. You don't have to do any fussy cutting. Paper Rose does have a coordinating cut-apart pack, so if you enjoy fussy cutting, that is an option. Plus, their cut-apart packs include quite a few more sheets, so you have multiples of each design. Next up is the Seaside Memories Embossed die cuts. There aren't any sentiments in this set, but lots of beautiful ocean-themed images. And with both of the embossed die cut packs, the colors and images coordinate perfectly with the pattern paper. I love the ocean, so I was really excited when I saw this new Seaside Memory collection. And the colors in this collection are perfect for either masculine or feminine cards. It can be challenging to find a good collection that works for masculine cards. The final products I have from the Seaside Memory collection are the Quick Cards Collection Pack and the Quick Cards Die Cuts. The individual die cut pack, those are exactly the same as what's included in the Quick Cards collection, but you can purchase them individually. So if you want duplicates, that's an option, or you can use those with the paper pads. I love using the Quick Cards collection. They make it super easy to assemble lots of beautiful cards. And it even comes with some sample ideas inside the pack. Sometimes I'll use the Quick Card collection, other times I'll use the 6x6 paper. I like to mix it up. Today's video, I will be focusing on the Quick Cards collection along with the extra die cuts from the Quick Card die cut pack. Here's a look at the 4 embossed die cut sheets, beautiful images, and plenty of sentiments. And I like that the sentiments are something you can use throughout the year. There's birthday, thank you, just general hello, really good mix. And since I have the individual Quick Card die cut pack, I have multiples of every image and sentiment. Here's a look at the pattern paper that's included in the Quick Cards collection. There are 18 double-sided 6x8 sheets. If you make A2 size cards, you can easily get 2 backgrounds from each sheet. So you can make a ton of cards from this pack. One thing that's really fun about the pattern paper, several of the sheets have another design and it looks like it's layered with cardstock, but this is all one sheet, so there's no extra layers. So there are the first 6 designs. Now I'll flip over the paper so you can see the designs on the back side. And the back side usually has more muted patterns. Great to mix and match with those busier designs. So there's a look at just some of the products that are part of Paper Rose's Seaside Memories collection. If you want to check out the rest of the collection, I do have a link in the description box below. And as I mentioned earlier, today's cards I'm using the Quick Cards collection. I'll be sharing 6 different card designs. So let's go ahead and get started with card design number 1. For the background of my card, I selected the pattern paper, the underwater scene with plants, seahorse, and fish. And across this panel, it has some of the wood grain pattern paper. That background pattern paper piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and I'm layering it on some green cardstock. The cardstock layer is an additional 1/8 of an inch. So 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. I'll put adhesive on the back, add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. If you prefer a wider matting, I would suggest cutting that green cardstock piece to a full A2 size. After cutting out 2 backgrounds from the one sheet of pattern paper, you'll end up with a narrow, long strip. I cut that in half and I'm adding it on the inside of the card just for a little extra detail. I pulled out several of the embossed die cut pieces. For the main image, I'm using the large circle with the anchor, and I did pop it up using the small and large foam squares from scrapbook.com in the 1mm thickness. I'll add that down first. For a sentiment, I'm using thanks, and I'm adding some of the shells and starfish around the sentiment. I'll put the larger shell and the starfish behind the sentiment. And to hold those in place, I'll put a piece of clear double-sided adhesive tape on the back of the sentiment. I'll add the larger shell first, so it will be behind the sentiment on the right side. Then I'll add the starfish on the left side. I'll add another piece of tape on the back just to hold those 3 die cut pieces together. I'll be adding this cluster in the upper right-hand area of the anchor die cut. Part of it will go off the circle, so in that area I will put some foam dimension. I'm using the small foam squares, and I will need to cut some of the squares in half to fit behind the narrow areas of the starfish. And before adhering that cluster down, I'll hold it up to the card, just seeing if there are any other areas where I need to add more foam. I'll remove the release paper from the foam, put glue behind the rest of the area, and adhere this small die cut cluster in place. The glue I'm using is from Barely Art. I prefer to use the small 2-ounce size bottle, and I always keep one of their bare refills on hand when it gets low. I still have the small shell, and for that one, I'll put glue on the back and adhere it in front of the sentiment, more on the right side. Using a small scrap piece of green cardstock, I'll cut a fishtail on the bottom and adhere the banner in the upper left-hand corner. And that cardstock piece is 5/8 of an inch by 7/8 of an inch. It's my favorite size for a little embellishment banner. I'll put glue on the back, adhere it in place. For embellishments, I pulled out some clear enamel dots from my stash. I have this set from Spellbinders. It's the clear dimensional dots. My set is almost finished. I'll add 2 in the upper left-hand corner on the banner and 3 in the lower right-hand corner. So there is my finished card, and I did make 4 using this design. The first 2 are basically the same. I used the same embossed die cuts. For the other 2, I used the same pattern paper, just switched out the embossed die cut, added the sentiment thinking of you, and I put the banner in the upper right-hand corner for the other two cards. The sentiment looked better on the left side, so to balance it out, I put the banner in the right-hand corner. Now moving on to card design number 2. I'm using the pattern paper with shells, crab, there's starfish, and I cut that piece to 4 inches by 5¼ inches. And this paper has the fun teal, green, and orange diagonal stripes. For a little extra detail, I'm adding a narrow strip of the map pattern paper, putting it on the left side of the card. And that piece is 7/8 of an inch by 5¼ inch. For a little separation and shine, I'll put a Love from Lizi peel off along the edge of that narrow pattern paper piece. I'm using the teal mirror color in the pinstripe style, and this is the narrowest width. Now I will be covering up some of this area with an image, so I don't need to add a peel off all the way across. This is always a great way to use some of those small scrap pieces. I'll wrap the ends around the back, layer this piece on some dark teal cardstock, and that cardstock layer is an additional 1/8 of an inch. 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. Put adhesive on the back, add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. The image embossed die cut I'm using for this card, it's another circle image with that fun frame, beautiful beach scene. I did pop it up using more of the foam dimension. I'll remove the release paper, add it on the card, and for a sentiment, I'm adding happy birthday. The very right side of the sentiment will go off of the image embossed die cut, so in that area, I did put some foam dimension. I'll remove the release paper from the foam, put glue behind the rest of the sentiment, and adhere it on the right side of the image. I'll make sure the sentiment is on nice and straight before that glue dries completely. For embellishments, I'm using more Love from Lizi peel-offs. This is the same teal mirror color in the mini circle style. I'll put 2 in the upper left-hand corner and 3 underneath the sentiment on the right side. So there is my finished card, and I did make 4 using this design. Again, those first 2 basically the same. The other 2 cards feature the same pattern paper. I used the hammock image and the sentiment thinking of you. Paper Rose makes it so easy to create beautiful yet simple cards using their quick card collections. Now moving on to card design number 3. The pattern paper I'm using for the background, this is the right side of the sheet. The left side also has a strip with some sailboats on it, and I'll show you that in a moment. But the one I'm putting together with you is the right side of the pattern paper with that fun underwater scene. So this will be a very simple card design. I cut the background piece to 4 inches by 5¼ inches, layered it on some dark teal cardstock. I'll add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. On this card, I'm adding 2 of the image embossed die cuts and the sentiment happy birthday. And I did put foam dimension behind all 3 pieces. I'll add the orca whale down first in the upper right-hand corner. The sentiment happy birthday will go underneath the orca. I first need to remove all the release paper pieces. And I'm putting it just above the underwater rock. There's a crab, a shell, and some plants. The final image is this cute little turtle, and I'll put it on the left side of the sentiment, just slightly higher up than the sentiment. For embellishments, I'm using more of the clear enamel dots. This is a different set I've had in my craft room. Always trying to use up some of the older embellishments. I'll put 3 in the upper left-hand corner and 2 underneath the sentiment on the right side. Super simple card design, but I love how this turned out. So there is my finished card, and I made 4 using this same pattern paper. So the first 2 are the same. The other two feature the left side of that pattern paper. You can see it has the sailboat strip down the center. I added the Ship Embossed die cut and the sentiment Chart Your Own Course. And just to help them stand out against the background, I put them on a stitched circle die cut. For card design number 4, this time I'm using the left side of the pattern paper sheet. It has this fun ocean scene with the stripes at the bottom. I cut this panel to 3 5/8 of an inch by 4 7/8 of an inch. I layered it on some dark teal cardstock, and that piece is 3 3/4 of an inch by 5 inches. I'll layer it again on some of the diagonal stripe paper, the teal, blue, and orange, and that piece is 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. Now I could just add this to a card base, but I decided to first layer it on some white linen texture cardstock. Now I'll put adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base. This card will feature 3 of the embossed die cut images, plus the sentiment Happy Birthday. I did put foam dimension behind all 4 die cut pieces. The seagull will go in the lower left-hand corner, and I have his feet on that blue and cream stripe area. I think it looks like a boardwalk next to the beach. Next, I'll add the crab, put him in the lower right-hand corner. The sentiment Happy Birthday will go in the upper left-hand corner. Then finally the compass, I'll put it in the upper right-hand corner. The sky on the background has a fun map design. So there is my finished card, and I made 4 using this same pattern paper. The background for the other 2 cards is the right side of the pattern paper, and it has the ocean. Decided to add the sailboat, the sentiment birthday wishes, and for embellishments I use more Love from Lizi peel-offs in the mini circle style. It's the silver color, and I only use the smallest size circle. Now moving on to card design number 5. For the background of my card, I'm using some cardstock from my stash. This is banana paper. It has banana plant fibers mixed into the paper. It's a cream color with all those fun speckles. This piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and I'm layering it on some dark brown cardstock. And the brown cardstock is the coffee bean color from Arden Creative Studio. It has a fun linen texture finish on one side. The brown cardstock layer is A2 size. I'll put adhesive on the back, add my card front onto a card base. For this card, I selected 4 pattern papers, and I cut them out using a nested stitched square die set from Paper Rose. And the squares are 1 3/4 of an inch. I'm adding all 4 squares on a dark brown cardstock layer, and that piece is 3 3/4 of an inch. I'll put the wood grain in the upper left-hand corner, the underwater dark blue in the upper right-hand corner, the green, blue, and cream stripe in the lower right-hand corner, and then that teal greenish map in the lower left-hand corner. I'm using glue to adhere the 4 squares down. That way I have a little bit of wiggle room to get everything adjusted. I'm trying to get that even placement border around and in between the 4 squares. Once I have all 4 squares down, I'll put adhesive on the back and add this piece on the card about 3/8 of an inch down from the top of the background paper. I'll make sure it's on nice and straight. Next, I'll add a white stitched circle die cut. I use Paper Rose's stitched circle die set, and this circle is just under 2.5 inches in diameter. For a sentiment, instead of using the embossed die cut sentiments included, I pulled out Paper Rose's black and white card baking sentiment sheets. This is my favorite sentiment sheet pack from them. It includes tons of holidays plus a bunch of general sentiments. And it has both the white with black font and black with white font options. I'm always trying to stay ahead on holiday cards I bring to a local retirement home, so I thought this set of cards would be perfect for Father's Day cards. I'll layer the sentiment on dark brown cardstock, otherwise it'll get lost on that background paper. I did pop it up using more foam dimension. And inside the circle, I added the embossed die cut image with the sailboat inside a jar. For a final finishing touch, I'm using a small piece of brown cardstock, cutting a fishtail on the bottom, and I'll add that small banner in the upper left-hand corner, adhering it just a little bit above that dark brown background layer. So there is my finished card, and this time I made 6 using this design. I used half a sheet of pattern paper of the 4 different designs, and using the square dies, it was enough so I could make 6 different cards. 2 of the cards have a lighthouse inside a jar. The last 2 cards feature a shell inside a smaller stitch circle die cut. Now moving on to my final card design, number 6. I will be using a card sketch for inspiration. This is from Freshly Made Sketches. It's number 679. For the background of my card, I'm using the wood grain pattern paper. That piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. For the 1/2 inch piece that goes across the card, I use the cream, green, and blue diagonal stripes. For the large banner in the center, I'm using this beautiful water pattern paper. I love how it's darker on the top and gets lighter at the bottom. I'll cut a fishtail on the lighter blue side, add it on the center of my card. I'm trying to get the top edge of the banner flush with the top edge of the wood grain pattern paper. I'll put adhesive on the back, layer this piece on the coffee bean cardstock. That cardstock layer is 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. Then I'll add more adhesive, put my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. It's fun using the pattern paper designs that have that pre-printed strip across, but it's also fun using the designs on the back side like this wood grain. This will be another card design that's very simple. I'm adding one of the circle embossed die cuts and the sentiment hello. I did put foam dimension behind the image. I'll remove the release paper, add it in the center, following the design of the card sketch. The sentiment I'll be adding in the lower right hand area on the circle, just above the little footprints in the sand. And I'll adhere that down with some glue. Make sure it's on nice and straight. And I have that extra strip of pattern paper. I'll put that on the inside of the card at the bottom just for a little extra detail. For embellishments, I'm using more of the clear enamel dots. I grabbed both sheets since I want more variety in sizes, and the one sheet I'm down to only 2 sizes. I'll put 2 in the upper right hand corner and 3 in the lower left hand corner. So there is my finished card, and I did make 4 using this design. I used the same wood grain and ocean pattern paper for the background. For the other 2 cards, I did switch to the teal, orange, and cream stripe paper for that narrow strip. And I used a different embossed die cut image and the sentiment Hello Sunshine. I love the look of wood grain pattern paper, so I had to make a set of cards featuring it on the background. Now here's another look at the 26 cards I made using Paper Rose Studios Seaside Memories collection. I use the Quick Cards collection along with the Quick Card die cut pack, but there are also 6x6 and 12x12 paper packs, embossed die cuts, cut aparts, and more. If you're interested in any of the products I used in this video, I do have links in the description box below. Paper Rose is located in Australia, and they do ship their products internationally, but you can also purchase them here in the US, and I have links for both locations listed below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.